Hello everyone, welcome to our channel that is Code Virtual, and in this channel we are generally explaining each fundamentals of each language, whether it is C Sharp, PowerShell or TFS or MVC or this. So you can subscribe this, right, or you can press bell icon so that you have the latest update of this channel. So today we are going to discuss yield keyword in C Sharp, that is YEELD keyword in C Sharp in C hash. Yield keyword is very powerful keyword in provided by C Sharp, and it provides the functionality that you can iterate the list, we can read the element of the loop, return to the calling code and go back to the loop again at the same point. That means it helps the developer to save a multi-line code by just using that keyword. What it does, it just um, goes to the calling function. After calling function, it goes to the caller function and move back to the uh, calling function again. So if I talk about through this diagram, so we have let me explain through one simple diagram, and I will just open it in the paint, and we have, so suppose this is our calling function and this is our caller function, right? So calling function have a definition of calling function, caller calling function have a definition of caller function, right? And this is calling function. So what it is doing, that it is just making a caller to the caller function, right? Inside the calling function is executing that line and moves back to the calling function. Caller makes another call to the calling function, preserving the state that we are providing in the yield keyword. So this is YELD keyword in C Sharp, that is yield keyword in C Sharp. So we will have a simple demo what yield keyword does. So in this program you can see that we have a console application and we have a list that is adding 5 elements in the list, and there is one method that is add temporary, in which we are just pointing that where we are iterating this collection, we are just checking that if the collection item in the collection is just 4, then we are just providing in the temp keyword a temp collection, and we are just iterating that temp collection. So this example is um, just without the this. So if yield keyword, so what is it is doing, it is doing without yield keyword, it is just using the temporary list, checking the element and adding to the temporary list. So that means we have uh, one effort, developer have a effort of declaring the temp list, right, adding the temp list and returning that temp list, and we are iterating this uh, templates. So we have a some line of code that can be eliminated once we are using the yield keyword. That means we don't need to provide temp list, right, that is list of integer type. We don't need to add element, right, and we don't need to return the element from to the calling function. So if you can see, if I just make it 3, so output will be the elements in this obj collection that are greater than 3, that is 4 and 5. So if I run this application, you will see output will be 4 and 5, right? although the function is doing well, but we have a extra line of code, and that creating the logic more complicated. So if I want to remove that code, right, we are removing the code. I'm just returning the using yield keyword now, return, right, return item. And since it is returning item, so it would be IEnumerable, and that would be IEnumerable, right? So the code is fine now. What it is doing now, we have removed the extra line of the code that was creating the temporary list. We have also removed the code that was adding the element to the temporary list which are greater than 3, and we also removed the code that was returning the list so that we can iterate. So what you can see, it will generate the same output as 4 and 5 here, you can see, but the internally compiler is taking care of the state of the element using that yield keyword. So if I just put a debugger here to show you how it is doing now, so I'm just inserting the breakpoint. I'm just doing, right, if I step over, uh, if I step into, you can see the temporary I is now, so it is just moved into this item has 1, so which is less than 3, so it will not return anything. The control will iterate. Now the element is 3, but it will again not iterate. Now the element is 4 now, so it will clear the condition that 4 is greater than 3, so it will go back to the yield statement and will return control to the calling function, that is calling function this, right. It will just print that output now here, right. Now it is just it will move out from this, and again it will go back to this function, calling function. That means once getting out from this loop, it is not going to this condition, because yield is just directing that once you will execute the code in the calling function, you have to come again, right. So if I do it again, now the 5 is greater than 3, it will again, right, it will do console, right, temp, and now obj collection are done because item is not, so it will just get out from this function, so the output will be 4. So that means yield keyword is just reducing the multiple line of the code and preserving the state in the caller function, and just moving to the caller function so that it can execute the code. So we are not going to save it. So that was our video on the yield keyword. I request you to just subscribe this channel, that is Code Virtual, and you can have the latest code, or you can post your queries inside this channel so that we can address your questions. Thank you.